Thanks everybody for grabbing a beer, taking a break. We are blessed tonight to have Sara Barb as our speaker. Take it away, Sara.
My first business mentor was a very wealthy man. He had it all. He had the wife, the kids, the nicest house on the biggest lot in the gated community. He had access to all the private clubs, all the secret rooms that were based off of your net worth. He had the life, the 14-car garage filled with all the classic muscle cars. The storage rooms full of his favorite English motorcycles, something like 25, 30 of his favorite English motorcycles. He was very successful. He had all the best vacations. He could go wherever he wanted. He could work whenever he wanted. In fact, at 40 years old, he decided that he was done working. He was going to retire, and he was going to live out the life of his dreams, playing golf at the golf clubs, hanging out with the wealthy and successful people. Who here wants that kind of freedom? Yeah. Sounds pretty great. Guess what happened next? He lost it all. What happened? So now I want to talk a little bit about freedom. Are we all here looking for some form of freedom? Through our investments, through our careers, through the relationships that we have? What happened where someone's so successful, he got a divorce, he lost his children, his investments went sour, his business partners started suing him. He got sick, diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. On his deathbed, his friends were playing grab bag, said, "This man's wealthy, I want that money." What happened? This is not the life that you and I are in pursuit of. We are looking for something. We're looking for freedom. We're looking for wealth. We're looking for the relationships. But we know that there's a side of this story that says that's maybe not enough. So, this man was actually my father. Yeah. This isn't actually a story that I've ever told publicly before, so give me a second. What is freedom? I love Cody Sanchez. She talks about a hierarchy of freedom. One is the freedom of finances. But to her, financial freedom isn't kind of the freedom that we're talking about in our finances. It's, can I afford to put a roof over my head and food in my stomach and take care of the people that I'm responsible for? Maybe there's someone in this room that actually doesn't have that kind of financial freedom. But I hope by being in this room, you meet the people that help you open those doors to find that kind of financial freedom. The second kind of freedom that Cody Sanchez talks about is the physical freedom. That's the freedom to work, to do the job that I'm called to, that I'm good at, that brings in the income that gives me the lifestyle that I want. Now, the third kind of freedom that Cody Sanchez talks about is philosophical freedom. That's the freedom that says, give me a second, I'm going to quote her. "I feel safe enough in the foundation I've built to stand up for my beliefs." I think this is really important when we start to talk about what are our beliefs in our freedom and our finances in the empire that we're building. Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan also talk a lot about freedom. They talk about financial freedom also. That financial freedom that they're talking about is more of the freedom to, where you get to buy your your lifestyle back and direct it in the way that you want. So maybe you're working a 9-to-5 job that you absolutely can't stand. So you decide to start a business, or you get into real estate investing, and now you're working yourself out of that 9-to-5 job so that you can do the things that you want to do. But after that, what happens is you realize that you don't have the time freedom that you thought, so you go in pursuit of buying back your time through your business, through your career, through your investments. Time freedom is the second freedom that Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan talks about. The third freedom is that freedom of relationship. The freedom of relationship is to be able to spend time with who you want, to work with who you want, to enjoy the people that are around you. I think this is really important, especially when you're getting into things like investing and building businesses, in being in rooms like this. And this is one of my favorite real estate investor groups because the people in this room are so tight-knit, and I've seen beautiful relationships happen in this room. I've seen those relationships translate into business and investing, where people are partnering and supporting each other and helping each other through mindsets. The fourth freedom that Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan talk about is the freedom of purpose. The freedom of purpose. What happened? My dad was a very wealthy and successful man, and I love him so much. And I don't mean to dishonor him by saying that he lost that success, but I think what happened was he did not translate the success into a purposeful mission. He lost sight of the fact that success is not the same as, give me a second. Success is not the same as significance. So, what is purpose? Living your life for something deeper and more meaningful than the pursuit of the toys. And when I say toys, I mean we grew up very well. We were very well off as children. It was great until it all started falling apart. And it was, man, did I get such a perspective on life, business, and investments when I saw the people nearest and dearest to my father turn on him on his deathbed. Now, that's not the life I want for myself. That's not the life I want for my husband. That's not the life I want for my children. And that's not the life that I want for anyone that I'm surrounded with. I want to look at you at the day of your death and say, you lived a great life. You served your community, you served your family, you did great things with the life that you built, the empire that you were afforded. So, what is this pursuit of purpose? I've been really diving into lately this idea of the double bottom line. I heard it on a Jordan Peterson podcast, and I thought that was so such a perfect description of everything that I've ever tried to build in business. By the way, my name is Sara Barb. I am a serial entrepreneur. We have a business in construction. We've got our real estate investments. We've got 25, 30 doors between Spokane and Bonners Ferry. We have a property management company. We have 4 beautiful young boys, and I'm glad to announce that this is actually, yes, another baby bump. Yeah. We have a beautifully growing team of people that are bought into a mission and a purpose that we are building. So what is this double bottom line? It is when you are investing just as much in the profits that you are receiving as the purpose that you are serving. So, when I first heard this concept, what the man was trying to portray was, you have an option between 2 different investments. Maybe they're similar returns, maybe one of them's a little bit less, but this one serves a purpose. Now, someone was talking about veteran housing. Yeah, oh yeah, that's right, because we've been talking about that. Veteran housing, what a beautiful purpose. But here's the thing that I always find funny, is that we're always in search of the profits, but there's actually a lot of profits to be found in the profits that bring the purpose. So when you have the choice between 2 investments, and one of them has a deeper purpose and the other one is purely for profits, can we choose the investment with a purpose? Can we choose the business that has the purpose? And what's funny is a lot of times we get scared of it, Maybe we think that we're inadequate deep down to serve something greater than ourselves. I don't know what it is, whatever it is for you. But now, this is one of the things that I loved that I have been really diving into in the past few years is how do I take the businesses that I already have and build in a deeper purpose. So we have a construction company that's probably been our most profitable company, our really most scalable company. It's our largest company. We do a lot of fun things. We are now so niched down in our construction company that we are doing 6-figure decks. Think about that for a sec. More than a lot of the houses around here we spend on a deck. It's kind of crazy. It's so much fun, but we have so much fun building it. So client facing, what are we doing? We're building generational memories. That's a really great purpose for our clients, but internally what we're doing is we're serving our laborers, we're serving our team members in how we're setting them up with mindsets, opportunities to serve them for the rest of their lives. We're trying to get them equity and passive income. And we're trying to open up their minds to the fact that, yes, you can buy a house and yes, you can buy an investment property and I will be there to hold your hand all the way through it. Because at the end of the day, there's very little that I can do as a construction business owner to retire you and take care of your family and your children after you die. I actually, I got to witness my father climbing ladders a month before his death. And I have a construction company now, and I feel very passionate about the fact that I don't want a single person that's going to spend their life serving my company and my vision. You will not die in this business. You will retire out of this business, and it's not going to be because I handed it to you. It's because you invested in yourself. You invested in your legacy to serve your family and beyond yourself. And I will help you do that. Whatever it looks like, whatever it takes, we're going to get you equity and passive income in your life so that you can exit our company someday knowing that you have given to your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren, however that looks. In our property management company, we've taken a really fun turn this year. Super fun. Talking about shared housing. I have gotten so passionate and deep in this idea of shared housing. What we've done with our property management company is not just taken a house and said, let's split it up so that we can crank out as much as we possibly can. We're looking at every house as a community, a chance to bring back face-to-face interaction with people who have lost what it means to have that human connection, to build support with other people. In our houses that we're building these shared living spaces, we're building personal development communities. In these personal development communities, we're putting things like Robert Kiyosaki, Brandon Turner, Napoleon Hill, whoever it is, we're going to put it in there. All it takes is one person to pick up one book to change the trajectory of their life. How many people here read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Yeah? How many here, their life was changed by that book? I just want to take that book in this house, on this bookshelf, and put it in this beautiful case with like lights around it just to make it so enticing. Just pick it up. Now, what happens if one person in one house picks up one book that says this was amazing and says to their roommate, you got to read this too? And then we start supplying the events, the community, the communication, the culture within this home to actually start building that in our communities. And then we give them events that say, hey, there's more out there. In the beginning, we're going to really be serving the working class demographic. They're probably going to be a little bit younger. Maybe they're doing construction. Maybe they're doing house cleaning. Especially our first home is going to be here in Sandpoint. And heaven knows we need some good workforce housing here in Sandpoint. So, where was I going with this? Who even knows? But, yeah. Another thing that we're going to do with these homes is we're going to be giving them these personal development journals on their tenant onboarding. So here's the home, here's the rules. There's a lot of rules in shared housing because you got to get along with the people around you. But here's this personal development journal. It's entirely up to you whether you fill this out, but just take a look at it. Jordan Peterson has a very interesting statistic about the amount of people that have ever actually put any thought in planning into their future. And what actually happens when you take those thoughts about what you want in life and you write them down on a piece of paper. All of a sudden, the statistic goes from like 10% to 80% on whether or not they can change their socioeconomic circumstances, their mindset, whether or not they go to college, whether or not they make it through college, whether or not they hold a stable job, what their children's lives look like. So, what happens if we give a journal that says, have you ever thought about your future? What would it look like if you had what you wanted? What would it look like if you made the kind of income that you thought was impossible? Can you write that down on a piece of paper? It's amazing. My husband and I did this when we first got married, and we said, by the time my husband turned 30, we're going to have, I don't know, it was probably like 10 rental property doors, and we're going to have a really successful business, and we're going to have a few kids, and we're going to have the house and everything. At the time, we were living in a fifth wheel, and we were really struggling. We couldn't get home to Kootenai County, where my husband grew up, because it was too expensive. I think this was right around when he was 25. These dreams felt impossible. I wrote them down on a piece of paper, and that piece of paper got lost for 5 years. I found it 2 weeks before his 30th birthday, and we crushed every single one of them. What on earth happened? Like, not even. I didn't even remember that thing existed, but the fact that I wrote it down and it manifested somehow, it put our attention in our brain, it filed it away in a certain compartment that only says. So anyway, the personal development journals. So we're going to be giving these personal development journals to our tenants. We're going to be creating community events centered around personal development, around financial literacy, about impact, about purpose. So the question I have today, I know there's so many varying levels of investors in here, is whether or not you can take where you are now, even if you are, 3 decades into your real estate investing journey, can you find a place to add that purpose into your investments or your business? Or if you're on day 1, can you take the path of the investment that has the deeper purpose? At the end of the day, how does that actually serve you? You will have deeper relationships. I would put a very heavy bet that you will actually be richer, wealthier by going with the more purpose-driven investment or business. You will have more fulfillment in life. You will be happier. What about the generational success and legacy that you'll leave? By giving that example to your children. I had, a beautiful array of really messy circumstances in life that led me towards this very deep and driven mission. What is my mission? Do you have a mission? My mission in life is to ignite the leaders of tomorrow to rise up to their God-given potential. I do that by creating the container, planting the seed, and cultivating the growth. That's my mission in life. So when I build these businesses, even on the nights where I don't get to be with my children, like tonight, my kids are going to see this video someday, and they're going to feel that deep drive of purpose and know that mom wasn't just leaving us just to go chase the next investment, chase the next business, that she's building something to actually serve her communities and to serve them too in building these kind of missions and purpose with them. So yeah, that's really the mission that I want to go on today is building the purpose-driven life, the purpose-driven investments to serve deeper, to find more fulfillment, to take more. I will, at this time, if you want to take some questions, I will ask some questions. if you want some feedback, I'll give that. And then I'd like to share the investment property that we actually have right now. It's 6,000 square feet, beautiful Sandpoint home, what our plans are for it, and I can share how we've taken this vision of the mission-driven, the purpose-driven businesses and actually applied it to real life. So if you have a question, now's the time to ask it. Yes?
When you're like looking at this house,
yeah,
and you're analyzing it, is it the same way someone like Joe or Tyler would analyze it? Like, do the numbers make sense, or is there some like intangible thing that, based on the community that you're trying to grow or vision that you're looking at that maybe a normal investor would?
I definitely lead with numbers, if that's what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, obviously
yeah.
It has to make sense, but like, what is it about like a property that you wanted, maybe that like a normal investor wouldn't, where you're just like, you'll figure that out?
Are you asking what my buy box is for a co-living house?
Yes. I guess now I am, but I know I'm just curious. Like when you were shopping, like I don't
yeah.
know. That wasn't my intention.
Yeah. No. Okay.
It was subconscious.
Sure.
Like it wasn't.
Hey, we're investors here.
Yeah.
So when I was, yeah.
Like, it needs to have this like awesome community like area.
Oh yeah.
Like we don't want that one. Like, maybe the numbers work, but we need it to have this.
To fit a purpose. Number one is, does the numbers work? Because you can't actually serve your community if it's unless you're unless you have something extra give. Yeah.
I'm a Nelly fan. I don't know.
Yeah. You could totally pull up the house. Really quick, I'll answer. As I've been analyzing my co-living houses this year, it's really been trying to figure out where the numbers make sense, in what kind of house, in what location, at what size. The one that we purchased first, I have one in Spokane. It was an Airbnb conversion. That one's where we're testing out all of our systems and processes. And then we're taking this into a 16-bedroom home, 6,000 square feet in Sandpoint. So this is the one that we purchased.
Have you noticed that the sellers are a little bit easier to work with you coming to them with this?
Totally depends. This guy was an investor. So he's an investor and a pastor. He saw the vision. That's part of the reason why we were able to get a second position seller carry with him. I pegged him as an investor after 2 minutes of talking with him. I was like, oh, he's got properties. It's written into every word that we're talking about. But in this property specifically, I got really excited because there's there's like a great room. There's the garage that we're converting into more living space. There's a really great family room. So it creates great spaces for community. We're doing things like putting rec rooms in where you can have games and that kind of stuff. Fitness, if we can add fitness to every single home, even if it's a 4-bedroom home, can we give them some dumbbells or some, pulley weights or any of those kind of things? And then I want to have community garden beds and community round tables and that kind of stuff where people are coming together face to face and interacting with each other, reigniting the actual face to face community. The statistics of young people these days that are committing suicide is absolutely absurd. I mean, it's heart-wrenching that we should be seeing this in our era. But what are we doing to actually facilitate community? We're kind of tearing it apart with our, being glued to the phones and our dopamine fixes and all the things. But yeah, so this house was really fun because absolutely. It's not complete. There was 2 questions. There was a question over here and then I'll get back to you. Yeah.
So are you looking for tenants? Are you looking single mom that's a server that can't afford housing?
Oh, yeah. I want to get to this. I want to get to this. So in the beginning of the investment journey, my husband and I, in our investment journey, we tried to partner with one of the local housing, I'm not going to name which one. At the time, it was very disorganized. They didn't have the right manager in place. She was somebody that was leading with her heart and not with her head. So while she was serving people that were in need, because it was lacking of so much organization and structure, everything fell apart. So we had a 4-unit apartment complex. Everything got destroyed in a matter of 2 months. You know, it's like, oh, we'll always pay the rent. We're going to manage them ourselves, all this stuff. There was, you know, a mom with a daughter, and then that whole unit got filled with drugs and other men and all this other stuff. And then there was one unit that had a dog and more drugs. And, you know, walking through there and seeing baby toys and diapers is just heart-wrenching. So as I'm building our communities, I'm starting with working professionals, and I'm building our systems, and the team to supply them, to really serve those systems. And then as we start to move forward, we will move into more underserved demographics. So I want to hit veteran housing. I want to hit sobriety housing. I want to hit at-risk mothers, especially on my Bonners Ferry property. I have, you know, maybe 5 to 1 mothers that are trying to escape some kind of heavy situation. I've got 3 kids. I'm by myself. I don't have a job. My credit score's ruined. And I'm like, as a property manager, I can't even accept you. That would be discriminatory. I can't accept you and then go to the next person and say, I can't accept you. So I'd love to hit, you know, at-risk mothers. There's so many. What I plan to do once we get the proper team in place and the right systems in place is to start partnering with the groups that are already in our local markets. You know, there's the Mother's Haven in Coeur d'Alene, I forgot what that's called. There's veteran housing places. I literally have people, as I've been talking more about this, I have people reaching out to me every other day saying, I've got this person with this community or this nonprofit or whatever, and they need housing, and what you are building is perfect for it. I'm like, let me build the systems. Let me grow my team. Let me do this as quickly as I can so that I can actually go out and serve these people. So we're going that direction. Absolutely. And right now our focus is on our local market, but if we can make it scalable, I'm not going to make it scalable unless it can be done well, but if we can make it scalable so that we can be regional or national, then I'd love to be able to do that too. And I mean, we'll see how it goes. The dream is really, it's there. Yeah, absolutely. Rose.
So I think, you know, it's a primary question with Becky's question as
Yeah.
far as the demographics of the residents we have and programs they've been thinking of for, you know, like, let's say community gardening and that sort of thing. Are you thinking of maybe offering some sort of class to get like the first generation of the people encouraged to participate in this
Yeah.
and keep this going, keep the garden going?
Yeah.
And, you know,
I've got a friend in marketing and videography that wants to partner up with me in making workshops and classes for things like financial literacy. And then if you get through this course, then we can give you a kickback on your rent. And then somebody says like, hey, what if instead of taking that kickback and pocketing it or whatever, we actually put it towards but I mean, now we're talking, we'd have to get with the lawyers and all that kind of stuff and how would we secure this money for their future. But like, you know, there's people, what's fun about having visions is that as I put the visions out more, the ideas come in, and now it's finding the right people to help build these visions. Yeah, absolutely. So now it's like from here, I get to take this to bigger stages and then really get my voice out there and say, who can help me build this? But, oh yeah, so the house, it's really fun. It's super fun. We closed about a month ago. The guys have not this room, but the rest of it is all framed in. So we've got 16 bedrooms and maybe 14 bathrooms. So most of the people are going to get their own private bathroom in this. There's a massive kitchen. We're going to have a big dining room. Yes.
Okay, as a proud father of 2 grown men sons now, I've been to their apartments and they make a mess.
Yeah.
Who's responsible for cleaning the common area?
So common areas, there is a system. It's called the SWOT checklist, and that's where I hired a mentor in shared housing because I've already built 3 businesses from the ground up, and I'm not, I have 4 children already, plus a half a child or whatever, So I actually purchased the systems. I bought the systems and I got the coaching and training so that I'm not starting from ground zero on what the systems are. Now it's more implementing them, especially to serve what our vision is. Because he does, he's taken what Pad Split does and made it like with integrity. If you don't know what Pad Split is, it's a new software company that is doing this shared housing on a mass level. And what's interesting with them is they're coming in with a whole suite of attorneys to get legislation on a large level and a small level on board with shared housing, because this is where it's headed. I mean, with our affordability levels these days, people can't even afford apartments. I mean, I've got my rents between $600 and $900 in Bonners Ferry, and people still can't afford that. And they come to me every single day, like, how do you expect anyone to live? And I'm like, I'm not setting the market. Like, there's someone here that's going to pay for it. So, like, the affordability level, I can see this, especially if we really start getting into recessionary periods, if the split between the low income and where the market is continues to grow. I don't see this going away. In fact, the feds have now passed that the housing vouchers can be used for rooms and not just entire units. So that's huge in the direction of the mindset of what's happening on the federal government side of things towards the shared living spaces. The question was, how do you keep it clean? Through systems. So within the bedrooms is their own. Treat it like your own apartment. Outside of the bedroom, it's a common area. So if you ever live in an apartment complex that has common areas, this is now the common area. And there is systems to stay on top of that with how the kitchen is cleaned and how the common spaces are cleaned. And then on top of that, we have either weekly or bi-weekly, we have actual cleaners that come in and take care of the deep cleaning of stuff. So those parts are taken care of. And then there's consequences for if you are not picking up after yourself. Yes?
Just real quick, like if someone were to move into this, are they going to be expected to pay less than if they just got a roommate with like a 4-room house or 4 roommates? Or is it about the same for this market?
Yeah. You're probably going to be the same as if you're like getting a house for rent and splitting it, like how the problem.
Do you know what people would pay for?
It depends. Yeah. On this one, I'm going towards like $900 for a room. Yeah, it's still expensive. We're still talking working class. This is not low income. What the market that I'm trying to serve with this house specifically is between the low income and where the market is. And instead of like, hey, like if you ever follow the Sandpoint rooms for rent or whatever that group is, there's like 20 million people on there like, I need a room, I need a room, I need a room. I haven't looked at it in a little bit, but we actually help facilitate who goes in the room. We do all the background checks and then we manage it. I think talking to a lot of people that have split houses and rentals and stuff before, the problem usually ends up being, I'm doing all the work and my roommates aren't cleaning up after themselves. And I have to manage them and now I feel like I'm their mother, like that kind of stuff. So that's where like working with a professional management company doing co-living makes more sense, because now we manage it, and if you're not following the rules, then this isn't the right place for you. Yeah.
So you said Section 8 has moved to the place where they're going to be able to start doing.
Yeah.
Have you had any experience with Section 8?
No, I have not gone into the Section 8 realm yet. It's in the pipeline. I just don't want to get there. I don't want to jump too soon and put my money and other people's money at risk. So I would love to get into Section 8, and I think that it can be done really well with the right systems. I also think it can be done really terribly. But as long as I have other people relying on me, whether that's my team or other investors, then I'm not going to put their money at risk until I know that I have the systems to back it up.
You said there's 16 bedrooms already when you purchased it?
No, it was all just the framing. If you saw, so this house was really fun because it's the old house. It was built in the 50s, and then one owner came in and they added an addition, and another owner came in and they added an addition. And then nobody completed the house, so it went from something like 1,200 square feet to 6,000 square feet. It's all dried in, which is great, but it's not complete. It's mostly just framing, so it leaves us a blank canvas to work with, which is really fun. It's a big kitchen. Is that?
I was wondering, is there multiple refrigerators?
Yeah, we're gonna do a couple refrigerators. We're gonna do a couple stoves. What's funny is people in these shared housing communities, what they end up saying mostly, people don't actually do a lot of cooking. I never cooked when I was like in apartments and had roommates and everything.
Well, yeah, but 8 people, there's 16 people here, so 8 people might cook.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. We're going to do 2 stoves. We're going to do 2 large refrigerators at least. The boys might be putting in more than that. I keep up every other day. The plans are always changing and they're doing fun things. And like we had this really great idea. They took out that whole chimney. So that's all gone, which was great because it was actually leaking at the roof. So they were able to catch that before it actually did any real damage and fix that. And now it adds like all of that space, and they're going to put appliances there because it already has gas in that location.
Is this on commercial?
No. So that was that's fun because there's workarounds. This is where the pad split model comes in really fun in what they're doing with memberships. So you buy a membership, or you're a part of a membership if you're in a fraternity, right? You're a part of a membership if, or like what they're working off is memberships. So it's not, yeah, there's not individual leases. There's one lease. There's one lease. That's how Pad Split's able to grow so quickly nationwide and not get shut down. They've also got a massive team of attorneys behind them and power. So that's where it's kind of fun because they're setting the pace. They're driving in. I don't know, it's huge. We're going to pave the entire back for parking. The other fun thing about the shared living is that a lot of people aren't even driving their own vehicles. They're riding bicycles and that kind of stuff. I'm interested to see how it is in Sandpoint specifically. Yeah, that's true. My Spokane house is right next to the bus stop, so I imagine that I'm not going to have any people with cars at that one. So we're going to pave all of that. I'm going to leave them some room for recreation, that kind of stuff. We're not accepting any pets. Don't need that. I mean, my Bonner's Ferry apartment, it's bad enough with the pets. Most of it. Yeah. Yeah, so City of Sandpoint was stoked that we're putting this in. They were like, oh, we actually have a few co-living houses already. We really need workforce housing. The last 2 owners wanted to make this into a commercial property. One of them was a church. The other one was, I don't know, some kind of community center. And they're like, no way, no how. We said we want to do co-living. They're like, we need this. And I'm like, sweet, let's do it. Oh, they're the ones, we were going to do 14 rooms because we were trying to tone it back. And they said, you're approved for 16. So we're like, great. We're all over it. We'll build you 16 homes for your workforce housing.
So, Sarah, do you have any issues with insurance? This should have been John's question.
She's not I think tomorrow she will be 100% sure.
Woohoo! Yeah, I actually had Lauren talking to John. I haven't. And Rottweilers. I'm pretty sure that we just have a landlord coverage on it. I don't know. I didn't ask. That was Lauren's job. Okay.
It is tricky. It's not a dwelling, a regular rental dwelling. It's not a primary residence.
It's not a commercial policy.
It is difficult. We found a category I've never used. We're listing as a boarding house. I know it's not exactly that. That's the category we're using.
Yeah. All right. There's the answer.
What are you looking for investor-wise?
Am I allowed to talk about that publicly? Wait, Julie, you're my coach. It's a 506B. Can I talk about that publicly? Yes. Oh, for future projects? Yeah, we're looking. Julie, I'm like, wait, how does it work with the 506B anyway? You're my coach on that. Yeah, we're taking on investors for future projects. For what I really want to do in the future actually is create a fund for this co-living model. And because it's a smaller house, it's not an apartment complex where you're looking at sitting on it for 5, 10, 15 years, your investment, it makes more sense doing a fund model and recycling money, especially with something like this where we're taking this home, we purchased it at $850 and we're turning it into somewhere around 1.8 is where I'm guessing the value is going to be for a 6,000 square foot home, a block from the lake and right next door to the main park in Sandpoint. It's a little gold mine. So as we're increasing value in our properties and getting high returns, this is where I think co-living is really fun. And what I was trying to get to with the purpose and profits is a lot of times what I'm seeing is when you're investing in something that has a deeper purpose drive, there's oftentimes a higher return attached to it anyway. And so why do these things get overlooked? With co-living, it's really fun because we're stabilizing the asset like an apartment complex by keeping multiple tenants in it in a single family home. That's really fun. So when one person moves out, now you don't have an 100% vacancy. You have a small percentage of vacancy. And then on top of that, because we're doing by the room, and these might go for somewhere around 900 especially, maybe we might be able to get more. We'll see how Sandpoint handles it. But with almost every room having its own private bathroom, it'll have a really good occupancy. We'll be able to rent it out better. We're going to get a higher, we're going to get a higher revenue on doing co-living than you obviously couldn't really rent this as a single family home. And Sandpoint, as we know, is very difficult to do vacation rentals. So it makes a lot of sense revenue-wise, and the expenses aren't quite as high as an Airbnb. It's more stable than an Airbnb. So the returns should be really fantastic in this co-living model. They are really fantastic in the co-living model. I don't know if I answered your question. I really want to create a fund for this to actually, we've gotten to the point in our investment journey where we have done everything self-funded from our very first 4-unit apartment complex all the way up into 20, 30 doors. It's all been ourselves. Now, I could stay really happy in that position, but I am a person that is really driven by impact and purpose. And there's so many people, only so many people I can impact with purpose by keeping it to myself. And I'm so heavily invested in getting everyone around me to have equity and passive income in their lives, because I've seen too many people exit, whether it's their career or their businesses. You ever see someone sell a business and say, hey, I got this really great chunk of money, and then they live their life as they normally have, and then they run out of that money? What happens then? So I want to see every business owner I know have equity and passive income in their lives. I want to see every team member under me have equity and passive income in their lives. I want to have the kind of effect where the business owners around me are hearing what I'm saying and they're investing in their team members to have equity and passive income in their lives. Yeah. But and then on top of that, now we're working with our tenants. Can we get them equity and passive income in their lives so that we can start moving that power back from the few to the many, to the small mom and pops, to our local investors, to our local stores, to the people that are teaching our children? Can we make that kind of shift in our community? So yes, I am bringing on investors now in the future, and it's like putting me outside of my comfort zone in all the best ways, because this is how we grow big, beautiful things. Yeah.
Might as well just, I have a construction company, but I am in the handyman service.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I need more handymen, especially up north. You're up north, right? Because so my business is I have a construction company. It's really great, but they're kind of sick of going up to Bonners Ferry. They're just a little bit sick of going up to Bonners Ferry.
Can we wrap up?
Okay, yeah. I'm good. Maybe one more question if there's anyone else.
Looking at your returns here, just kind of
What a great deal. I mean, helping people, moving in the positive, and you're making money at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
good on you.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Is that good? Can I sit?
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Great.
Everybody, thanks for being here tonight. Stick around for a little bit, hang out if you'd like to. We are here the second Thursday of every month, and this is what we do is try to bring you value and try to connect us all together so that we can be better servants in the world.
Kyle, can you put Sarah Barb's contact in there?
Oh, yeah.
Give me a second to do that. Anyway, cool. Thanks everybody. See you
on.
next month. Don't forget to pay your taxes.
Yeah. All right.
I've been coming to a lot of these things, man.